Right, let's take a little bit more of an in-depth look at the markets, but at the same time, let's give you a little bit of an update of some of there's quite a big jump in what's happening now with the percentages of the voting coming in. So now the number is 145 of those electoral votes have gone to Kamala Harris, 211 have gone to Donald Trump. Remember the sweet spot? 270. So, yeah, as we heard from Sherwin, you got the New York Times saying they're sitting at a 90% prediction that Trump is going to take this. But again, too early. It is too early to call. We can't be making sort of predictions now. But I wonder what markets are doing, because that's an important one. Global stock markets, they really have been characterized as calm, while the major gauge for volatility, the CBOE Volatility Index, was also seen as subdued as Americans went to the polls yesterday. This year's U.S. presidential elections are one of the most anticipated, with Democratic presidential hopeful Kamala Harris describing them as the most consequential election in many years. Market players are said to be standing on the sidelines and not making any major bets on trading positions until the uncertainty of the U.S. polls fades. But let's bring in my colleague, our SABC News Economics Editor, Tshepo Mongoai, to talk a little bit about this. Mongoai, what am I saying, Tshepo? Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been early. It's a long, early morning we've got going here.
I've been watching development in the US
well,
as well.
Totally. And the bottom line is that we are now sitting at a point. Obviously, you know, markets are closed right now in the US, but it's going to be an interesting morning when they do wake up and see what's going on. And with Trump looking like he is gaining in momentum when it comes to these votes, I wonder what that's going to do to the markets.
No, absolutely. I mean, it will be interesting to see what will happen on the JSE. But judging by what happened overnight in the US, we saw the stocks in the US quite high. Obviously driven by your tech stock. But there's been a lot of volatility, and the volume were quite thin, and you could actually get a sense that investors, as you indicated, are on the sideline and trying to really understand and figure out what is going to be the direction. A lot of volatility. You've mentioned the VIX, which is the volatility index at around 21, and that tells you, and it gives a bigger picture of that. There are a lot of uncertainty that the market is still going through. I mean, on the JSE yesterday, we saw the all-share index closing higher, around 0.5%, driven mainly by your commodities. We were made to understand that the reason why the commodities were actually the main driver on the all-share index is because central banks have been buying a lot of gold. You may have looked at the gold price, for example, and that has been doing exceptionally well. It's been up. Even other commodities, such as Brent crude, we've also seen some gains there. But there's still volatility when you look at the Asian markets. We do think that the JSE probably might also not give a direction as long as there is no ultimate announcement and decision in terms of who's leading, but the markets are factoring in the Donald Trump win, the so-called Donald Trump trade. It's what's happening in the markets currently. And also the fact that what we are already seeing is that there is going to be a lot of volatility that will continue for at least a day or two until there are some clear pronouncement in terms of policy direction in the US.
Yeah, interesting, because I mean the one place we can get a little bit of a understanding on is the Asian markets, because they're trading, so we can get some sense of how things are feeling there with the results coming in. So when I next speak to you, perhaps we can look a little bit closer at what's going on in Asian trade, because you know, they may be picking up on things that we don't necessarily see.
Absolutely. Yeah. But the picture generally is mixed in Asia.
Yeah.
And I think when we open on the JSE, we'll probably follow the same cue But I will give you an
Indeed.
update on that.
Look forward to chatting to Tshepo Mongoai, who's our economics editor here at the SABC. We'll see him again in the next hour, because in the next hour we'll even get a clearer picture as more markets begin to open. Obviously, our market's only opening at around about 9 o'clock this morning, so we'll see there. But I don't think there'll be anything dramatic. As we say, those have already been factored into markets. But when the US markets open, after a lot of the results are in, that's when things are going to get very, very interesting. All right, let's quickly take a break. We're coming back. We'll introduce you again to some of the candidates, and we'll also update you on some of those results that have been coming in. There have been quite a few that have been called right now, so I think there's quite a big jump in what is being reported with the results coming out of the US elections. And those supporting Trump, they've got a big smile on their face at the moment, but it may change. Stay with us.